Imagine this scene. You are standing in front of people who matter to you. Colleagues, friends, perhaps someone you are trying to impress. The conversation is flowing. You feel confident, comfortable. Then someone says something. A comment, a jab, maybe disguised as a joke, maybe delivered with a smile. But you feel it land. You feel the heat rise in your chest. Your mind scrambles. Should you respond? Should you laugh it off? Should you attack back? In that moment, you are not thinking clearly. You are reacting, and everyone in the room can see it. They just watch someone reach inside you and flip a switch. Here is what most people never understand about insults. The insult itself has no power. None. It is a collection of sounds, a string of words, vibrations in the air that disappear the moment they are spoken. The power comes from you. You are the one who receives those sounds, processes them through your psychology, and decides, usually unconsciously, to feel wounded. You are the one who grants the insult its authority. You are the one who hands your emotional state to a person who probably does not deserve to hold it. And if you do this, you are not strong. You are not confident. You are a puppet, and anyone with the right words can pull your strings. But what if you could change this? What if there was a psychological framework developed over 2,000 years ago by philosophers who faced execution, exile, and slavery that could make you genuinely immune to verbal attacks? Not pretending to be unaffected, not suppressing your feelings until they explode later. Actually, fundamentally impossible to insult. Today, you will learn exactly how to build this immunity. 6 techniques drawn from Stoic philosophy that will transform the way you process criticism, mockery, and verbal attacks of any kind. By the end of this video, insults will feel different. They will land differently. Some will not land at all. And the person who used to be destabilized by words will become someone that others cannot touch, no matter how hard they try. Let us begin. Technique 1. The judgment transfer. Before we discuss how to become immune to insults, you must understand what an insult actually is. Most people think an insult is an attack. It is not. An insult is an attempted transfer. When someone insults you, they are trying to hand you their judgment. They are extending an opinion about your appearance, your intelligence, your worth, and asking you to accept it as your own. That is all an insult is. An offering, a package that someone is trying to deliver. And here is the part that changes everything. You do not have to accept delivery. Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher who was born a slave and endured a broken leg from his master's cruelty, taught this principle explicitly. He said, if someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation. Read that again. Your mind is complicit. The provocation does not happen to you. It happens with your participation. You are not a victim of the insult. You are a collaborator in it, if you choose to be. Think of it like this. Someone walks up to you and tries to hand you a box filled with garbage. They hold it out, pushing it toward your chest. You have 2 options. Option 1, you take the box. You accept it. You carry it with you, smelling its contents, feeling its weight, letting it burden your day. Option 2, you simply do not take it. You leave your hands at your sides. They stand there awkwardly, holding garbage that now has nowhere to go. Eventually, they have to walk away, still carrying the very garbage they tried to give you. This is what happens with every insult ever delivered. Someone holds out their judgment. You decide whether to take it. The average person reaches out automatically, grabs the box, holds it tight, examines its contents, agonizes over what is inside. The Stoic? They look at the box. They look at the person holding it, and they make a conscious choice to leave it where it is. Here is your application. The next time someone says something designed to wound you, pause. Recognize what is happening. Say to yourself, internally, this person is offering me their judgment. Do I want to accept it? This single moment of recognition changes the entire dynamic. You are no longer reacting. You are choosing. And choice is where power lives. Technique 2, the source evaluation protocol. Now let us go deeper. Even when you recognize that an insult is an attempted transfer, there is still a temptation to accept it. Why? Because some part of you wonders, what if they are right? This is where the second technique becomes essential. I call it the source evaluation protocol. Before you process any criticism or insult, you must first evaluate the source. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, how much trouble he avoids who does not look to see what his neighbor says or does or thinks, but only to what he does himself. But he went further. He also wrote, If any man despises me, that is his problem. My only concern is not doing or saying anything deserving of contempt. Here is the profound insight. Not all opinions are equal. Not all judgments deserve your consideration. The worth of criticism is directly proportional to the worth of its source. Ask yourself these questions when someone insults you. Does this person have the life I want? Do they demonstrate the values I respect? Have they achieved mastery in the area they are criticizing? Would I trade places with them? If the answer is no, why would you let their opinion penetrate your psychology? Picture a scenario. You are an artist. You have spent years developing your craft. A random person on the internet, someone with no creative accomplishments, no understanding of your medium, no skin in the game, leaves a cruel comment attacking your work. Now, consider the same criticism from a master of your craft, someone whose work you admire, someone who has walked the path you are walking. Same words, completely different weight. The fool accepts all criticism equally. They give power to anyone willing to speak. They let random strangers occupy rent-free space in their psychology. The wise person runs every criticism through a filter. Is this source worth listening to? Here is your application. Create a mental list of 5 people whose opinions about your life actually matter. People who know you deeply, who have earned their perspective through relationship or achievement. When someone outside that list offers harsh judgment, recognize that their opinion has not been qualified. It has not earned access to your emotional core. Let it pass through you like wind through a screen door, acknowledged, perhaps, but never stopping to stay. Technique 3. The truth extraction here is where most teaching on this subject stops. Reject the insult. Dismiss the source. Move on. But the Stoics were more sophisticated than that. They understood that sometimes, not always, but sometimes, criticism contains useful information, even when delivered cruelly. Even when the source is imperfect, even when it hurts. This is the truth extraction, the ability to separate delivery from content and harvest wisdom from even hostile packages. Seneca wrote, "Consult your friend on all things, especially on those which respect yourself." His counsel may then be useful where your own self-love might impair your judgment. But what if your enemy offers the same counsel? The weak man rejects all criticism from hostile sources because the hostility itself triggers his defenses. He cannot hear the content because he is too busy feeling attacked. The Stoic takes a different approach. He asks, setting aside the cruelty of the delivery, is there any truth here I can use? Imagine a man in a business meeting. A rival colleague makes a biting comment about his presentation skills, delivered with obvious malice, designed to embarrass him. The weak response, anger, defensiveness, counterattack, days of resentment. The Stoic response, a moment of internal reflection. Is there any validity to this criticism? Could my presentation skills improve? Regardless of this person's intentions, have they accidentally pointed at something I could work on? If no, then the insult is pure noise. Dismiss it completely. If yes, then the insult has provided free intelligence. Your enemy has just coached you without meaning to. This reframe is extraordinarily powerful. It transforms every hostile criticism into one of 2 things, either irrelevant noise to be ignored or useful data to be incorporated. Either way, you win. Here is your application. The next time you feel the sting of criticism, ask yourself, if my best friend gave me this exact feedback with love and kindness, would I consider it? Would I make any changes based on it? If no, the criticism is worthless. Let it go. If yes, take the lesson. Discard the hostility. Thank the universe for sending you growth in an ugly package and move forward better than before. Technique 4. The response gap. We have discussed internal processing. Now let us discuss external response. The moment someone insults you, a clock starts ticking. There is an expectation from the insulter, from any observers, from your own conditioned mind, that you will respond immediately. Do not. The immediate response is almost never your best response. It is your emotional response, your reactive response, the response that your limbic system generates before your prefrontal cortex has finished processing. This is where the 4th technique emerges, the response gap, the deliberate insertion of space between stimulus and reaction. Viktor Frankl, the psychiatrist who survived Nazi concentration camps, wrote, "Between stimulus and response there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. This is not just philosophy. This is neuroscience. When you are insulted, your amygdala activates. Stress hormones flood your system. Your body prepares for fight or flight. In this state, your capacity for strategic thinking is dramatically reduced. But here is what most people do not know. This hormonal surge is temporary. If you can delay your response by even 10 seconds, your thinking brain begins to reassert control. 20 seconds, and you are significantly more rational. 60 seconds, and you have access to your full cognitive capacity. The insulter expects instant reaction. They have built their attack around triggering your reflexes. When you do not react immediately, their power evaporates. Watch what happens in practice. Someone throws a verbal jab. The weak person fires back instantly, confirming that the insult landed, confirming that their emotional state can be manipulated, often escalating the conflict. The Stoic pauses, takes a breath, perhaps even smiles slightly, and then, maybe, responds with something measured, or perhaps responds with nothing at all. That pause is devastating. It communicates, I heard you. I am choosing how to respond. You do not control my timeline. There is a story about Cato the Younger, the Roman Stoic famous for his incorruptibility. While giving a speech in the Senate, a political enemy approached and spat directly in his face. Cato paused, wiped his face, and said calmly, I will swear to anyone that people are wrong to say that you cannot use your mouth. Then he continued his speech. No rage, no attack, no satisfaction given to the provocateur, just a measured response that demonstrated complete mastery and made his enemy look foolish. Here is your application. When you feel the heat of insult rise in your chest, count to 10 before doing anything. During those 10 seconds, breathe slowly. Feel the initial surge begin to fade. Then, and only then, decide whether any response is even necessary. You will be amazed how often the answer is no. And when the answer is yes, your response will be surgical instead of scattered. Technique 5, the identity anchor. Now we reach the foundational technique, the one that makes all others possible. Why do insults hurt? On the deepest level, why do certain words from certain people land with such force? Because they threaten your identity. They suggest that you are not who you believe yourself to be. If someone calls you stupid and you are completely secure in your intelligence, the comment bounces off. It is obviously false. It does not align with your self-concept. But if someone calls you stupid and there is even a small part of you that wonders, that fears they might be right, the comment cuts deep. Insults only wound when they find existing cracks. This is why the identity anchor is so essential. It is the practice of building such a clear, stable, well-evidenced sense of self that external opinions cannot destabilize it. Epictetus taught, it is not things that disturb us, but our judgments about things. Applied to insults, it is not what others say about you that disturbs you. It is your own uncertain judgment about yourself that makes their words matter. The average person has a fragile identity. It is built on external validation, what others think, how others react, whether others approve. Every insult is a threat to this externally dependent sense of self. The Stoic has an anchored identity. It is built on clear values, demonstrated actions, and accumulated self-knowledge. It does not require external validation because it is validated from within. Think of two ships in a storm. One ship has a shallow anchor. Every wave pushes it around. It lurches left, then right. It responds to every gust of wind. By the end of the storm, it has traveled miles from where it intended to be. The other ship has a deep anchor dug into the ocean floor. The same waves hit it. The same winds blow. But it holds position. It moves slightly. It is not rigid, but it always returns to center. The storm exhausts itself against immovable stability. Your identity can be either ship. If you do not know who you are, if you have not done the work of clarifying your values, understanding your strengths, accepting your weaknesses, then you are the shallow anchored ship. Every insult is a wave that moves you. If you have built genuine self-knowledge, not arrogance, but accurate understanding, then you are the deep anchored ship. Storms come, waves hit, but you know where you stand. Here is your application. Write down 5 things you know to be true about yourself. Not hopes, not aspirations, demonstrated truths, evidence-backed claims about your character and capabilities. When someone insults you, mentally return to this list. Ask, Does this insult contradict what I know to be true? If yes, the insult is simply inaccurate. If it might be accurate, then it is feedback, which we covered in Technique 3. Either way, your anchor holds. Technique 6. The compassion flip, the final technique, is the most advanced and the most liberating. When someone insults you, your natural instinct is to see them as the aggressor and yourself as the target. This framing puts you on the defensive. It makes you feel attacked. But consider a different framing. When someone feels compelled to insult you, what does that reveal about their internal state? Happy people do not spend their energy tearing others down. Secure people do not need to diminish those around them. Fulfilled people do not look for targets to wound. The person throwing insults is almost always doing so from a place of pain. Their aggression is not a sign of strength. It is a symptom of suffering. Marcus Aurelius reflected on this constantly. He wrote, "When someone wrongs you, ask yourself, what made them do it? Once you understand their conception of good and evil, you will feel compassion rather than surprise or anger." This is the compassion flip, the shift from seeing the insulter as powerful aggressor to seeing them as they actually are, a wounded person projecting their wounds. I want you to think of someone who genuinely insulted you, someone whose words stuck. Now imagine that same person at 3 in the morning, alone, unable to sleep, confronting their deepest fears and insecurities. That is who insulted you, not some powerful being with valid cosmic judgments. A fellow human struggling with their own demons, briefly making their struggle your problem. This reframe does not make the insult acceptable. It does not mean you must tolerate ongoing disrespect, but it removes the sting. You do not feel wounded by a child's tantrum because you understand what a tantrum really is, an expression of overwhelm, not a valid assessment of your worth. You can view adult insults the same way. Here is your application. The next time someone insults you, instead of asking, "Why did they say that to me?" ask, "What must be happening inside them that they felt compelled to say that?" You will often find pain, fear, inadequacy, jealousy, and in finding it, you will discover something remarkable. It becomes very difficult to be wounded by someone you pity. We have covered 6 techniques today. The judgment transfer, recognizing that insults are offerings you can decline. The source evaluation protocol, filtering criticism through the credibility of its source. The truth extraction, harvesting any useful data from hostile packages. The response gap, inserting space between stimulus and reaction. The identity anchor, building self-knowledge so stable that words cannot shake it. The compassion flip, seeing insults as symptoms of the insulter's suffering. Together, these techniques create what the Stoics called invulnerability, not arrogance, not detachment, a genuine, grounded immunity to verbal attack. Here is what your life looks like 6 months from now if you master these techniques. Someone makes a cutting remark. You hear it. You process it. You run it through your protocols. Is this source credible? Is there truth here? Does this contradict what I know about myself? And then nothing. No heat. No scramble. No hours replaying the moment. Just a recognition that someone tried to hand you garbage and you declined to take it. You become genuinely free. Not because people stop trying to insult you. They never will. But because their attempts stop landing. And when attempts stop landing, something interesting happens. People attempt less frequently. Because what is the point of attacking someone who cannot be wounded? The reactive person invites escalation. Their visible pain rewards their attackers. The Stoic invites peace. Their invulnerability makes aggression pointless. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Choose not to be harmed, and you will not feel harmed. Do not feel harmed, and you have not been." This is not denial. This is not suppression. This is mastery. The harm of insults exists only in your acceptance of them. Withdraw that acceptance, and you withdraw their power. Completely. Permanently. Starting now.